Hello and welcome to Soccer Yanks, a Soccer Newsday podcast. I am your host, Dan, and we're going to try our hardest to bring you the beautiful game from the American perspective. My normal co-host and cohort, Dave, he cannot make it tonight, so I called in. I couldn't just call in one backup because Dave is such a huge personality. I need to bring in two. I have with me tonight you may know him if you are a Chelsea fan, probably not because you don't like Dave or I. but he has his own specific space at socceryanks.com. From Carefree Blues, Kyle. Say hello, Kyle.
Hello, guys.
Good week for you, huh?
Yeah, good week. New job.
We're not gonna talk about that, don't worry.
Oh
man. And also with us, another contributor to Soccer Yanks and also blogging on his own now a little bit is our very own Jay, Rescinded Red. Jay, say hello to everybody.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Jay, what's your blog? Because I butchered that. What's your blog now again?
It's rescindedredblog.com.
How did I get that wrong? Rescindedredblog.com.
Yeah, I couldn't get rescindedred.com. I didn't want to spend the money, so.
Rescindedredblog.com. You heard that, guys? Everyone get that. Go there. Check it out. Okay. Let's, as usual, Soccer Yanks, we focus on the Premier League. The Premier League is where, is what drives me. So that's what I'm leading the discussion tonight, and I'm talking Premier League. Okay. First match of the season. And if this is what the season has for us, these kind of matches, I'm going to be so giddy. Swansea City comes to Old Trafford. LvG, Louis van Gaal, the big signing manager, right? The second coming of Alex Ferguson. He's got his own attitude. He's got his own thing. He likes to develop youth players. He's like, I'm going to put 3-5-2 out there. And Swansea says, not so fast. We're not scared of you anymore. 2-1 to the Swans. Kyle, were you surprised by this result?
I think I was surprised by the defeat. I think if it would have been a draw, I wouldn't have been so surprised. I've never been a firm believer in that back three that they have. And they're banged up at the moment too. So, that never helps. But that back three, it's shoddy.
At best. I got to say, the first Swansea goal was one of the best picks I've ever seen laid. I think Bonnie watches a lot of NBA because he was just like, I'm going to just stand my ground and I'm going to pick Phil Jones. And Phil Jones just smashed into him. Phil Jones was gonna be able to block that shot. So I think that was a foul. Jay, did you see that? Did you see that goal? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know if it was a foul. I think it's just a hard pick. Wasn't paying attention. Didn't keep his head in the swivel. All the cliche football stuff that we like to say here.
3-5-2, Jay. Is it gonna work?
It can work. It needs to be disciplined.
Let me qualify the question. Is it gonna work at United? That's what I really meant to say.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. If your weakest position is defense, why would you put 4 defenders rather than have 3? The only issue I have with the way they're playing is they're going to try to play the ball through the middle with slow passing, and they're going to try to play the ball probably long balls from wide positions, and then have their wing backs just track back and forth and play. So their center backs, their job is just to stay on, keep guys, make sure they're not going to have guys going to lose a trap, make sure they're offsides. The only problem is, though, what happened with Swansea, when you have one forward up top, it's kind of a waste. You're losing an extra guy in the attack because you're keeping 3 guys back there when you should only be having 2 guys, 2 center backs.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Whenever they brought in that Gomes, or however you pronounce his name, from League One or League One. I don't understand why they wouldn't pair up him and Bonnie up top.
Well, Yeah, well, I mean that would have been that. I'm waiting to see that, but I think what Jay is saying is if you're playing like a back four, your two fullbacks are going to be involved in the attack because most people now are playing with the lone striker. So you have your two center backs that stay back and cover the one striker, and then your fullbacks have the responsibility to come back when they're on the defense. So, but having three men on defense is actually counterintuitive when there's only one striker.
Oh, right, okay.
Right. Because essentially you're supposed to have one guy a man and one guy as a last line of defense. And so now you're having an extra guy just kind of roaming around, and if he's not good with his foot in the ball, then you're losing an extra attacker.
A 3-5-2 works with a lot of these teams now that we're going to be seeing We're going to see a lot of teams playing with two strikers. It's coming back. It's becoming in vogue again to play two strikers. So, against like a Liverpool, a 3-5-2 is going to be good. It's going to suffocate out that midfield, and it's going to keep you three center backs. Against a team like Swansea where they're playing a lone striker, you're not doing enough the other way. Okay, center backs have been, obviously, as Kyle mentioned, is an issue. They let three, maybe some people will call them world-class, some people won't, at least three championship-winning center backs in Rio Ferdinand, old man, I understand, Vidic, he's from Serbia, Hilmurdia, that guy, and Patrice Evra, the mutineer. All three left in one window. Now, say whatever you want about them. They have a lot of their own personality issues. They all won championships with Manchester United. They brought in, just the other day, one defender. And to be honest with you, a guy that I had not seen until the World Cup. And at the World Cup, if my memory serves me correct, Rojo played left back. Didn't they just spend £30 million on a overweight left back?
An overweight left back that they're not going to be playing a left back?
Yes, they're not going to play left back. They're going to play him they're going to play him in midfield. Is Rojo is he enough? Is he enough?
No, I think this team is just so far from. I think this team was hyped up a lot, but the back line is it's so shoddy.
I think it's just an issue, and I'll plug it. The Homegrown Podcast we're talking about this. There's just an issue with having center backs in just around the world. It's just it's a tough position to find players at. I mean, Barca just spent $30 million or 30 million euros on two center backs, who they're not going to be enough for them either. I just think the market's so high for center backs. I think it's probably the best they could have hoped for at this point, without having to break the bank.
But then the real question is, shouldn't you change your system? If you can't field three center backs of quality, shouldn't you change your system to field two center backs? I mean, I'm not sold on Louis van Gaal, and I wish Dave was here, because after seeing one game, I really wanted to see Dave's reaction. And I know Dave, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think what he would say is, Louis van Gaal hopefully will institute a system for the future, get involved in the youth movement, and bringing in youth players to replace, because of the market is so expensive, bring in some youth players, potentially develop youth players, or at least develop a youth system that they will benefit from some years and down the road. And I talked to him, on Twitter the day of the match. You don't judge a team on one game. It's 138th of the league. There's a lot more in this league, and maybe they just had an off day.
Right.
And so I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm giving Dave's piece. Me personally, I think this team is very overhyped up, and I think, Jay, you shared this article with me from The Guardian. The author was, the last name is Khan, I believe.
Yeah, David Kahn.
David Kahn. A great article, kind of chronicling the Glazers and what their focus has been since they've purchased Manchester United, and it's basically not been what's on the field. It's been everything but.
Well, it's a business. They're a public company. They sell shares on a stock exchange, and I think sometimes people don't remember that the Glazers own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they own Tampa Bay Lightnings. They are sports club owners, and then they run a sports team in America differently than they run them, obviously, in Europe. And they had a lot of success with Ferguson, and they got a lot of run out of not spending a lot of money on guys in the transfer markets. But I think they're kind of running this like an American business, and I think they're kind of ready to cash out, especially after the patriarch died I believe he died last year, correct?
Not sure, but they did definitely cash out a big chunk recently.
Yeah, when they have a large
they sold a chunk of shares recently for a nice profit.
Yeah, it's a business move, but I don't think a lot of fans really care about business.
I think their lack of activity in the transfer market, the real big problem is their lack of being able to now attract. For example, the rumors have it that Angel Di Maria is on the market. He would be a perfect candidate to run that left side for Van Gaal. Does he want to go to Manchester United?
I think we're seeing now that it has become a problem that they're not in Champions League. They were extremely bad last year, and I think it just kind of tarnished the reputation, and people just aren't like Alex Ferguson's not there to coach anymore, and the players just don't want to go to Man U this season.
They banked on the Ferguson factor for so long, and
Exactly.
he was a great manager. He got them he made the pieces work.
Right.
But now they're in trouble. Guys like Ferguson, there's not many of those guys built out there like that.
No. And I think with the Glazers, I think a lot of, the value of Man U, it's tripled since they're there. All the sponsorships and everything like that. Like the business moves, they've been very good with business moves, but with players, the only teams that have spent more money since the Glazers took over are City and Chelsea, and the only difference is that the players that United are buying, like Valencia, Zaha, Phil Jones, Fellaini, they're not turning out to be guys like David Silva, Yaya Toure, Aguero, Matic, Hazard, Schürrle. They're spending
a lot of Chelsea players in that list. There's a lot of Chelsea players in that list.
Just throwing some out there. They spent all that money on Ander Herrera when Cesc Fabregas was out there, and like a couple years ago, whenever Michael Ballack went to Chelsea, they spent the money on.
I'm going to defend Man U here. The Herrera thing, though, well, I'm not going to defend them completely, but the Herrera thing was botched earlier. That just got finalized from a previous window that things got screwed up on.
Oh, okay.
So they were supposed to sign him prior.
Right, okay.
And things got I don't know the details, but I do know that it got botched. But they basically had everything agreed, and there were some technicalities or some details that were not ironed out in time.
Was that the one that Moyes botched last summer?
I don't know if it was a summer or in the winter window, but it was never got settled until the summer. So Cesc was maybe not on their radar because I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Right.
But the thing is that a football team, a football team that's very good commercially, like Manchester United, these sponsors and all these commercial partners that are the Chevrolets of the world and all these, like they've got, I think that their big thing is they got like 29, 30 different commercial contracts, which is massive.
Yeah.
The problem is that these sponsors, they're giving United this money because their brand is successful at playing football. Once that starts to go away, the money's going to dry up because no one's going to want to keep sponsoring a team that's stuck in 7th. Now, I'm not saying that Man U's going to finish in 7th, but we can use a history lesson of what happened to Liverpool when they fell out of the top 4 and how long it's taken them to get back.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you go out for one. And I said this in the last podcast to Dave. This year is critical. They have a perfect opportunity. They don't have a lot on their plate. They got to get back in the top 4 because if they don't, I think it gets worse.
Right. Yeah. And I've been talking with a personal friend that he's a big Man U fan, and I've been saying this. We've both been saying the same thing, that like they can't afford another Moyes-esque season. I don't think they could be that bad again, but they can't afford to not get in the top 4 this season.
I would agree. All right, we've. I feel bad because Dave should have been here for this one, but we'll get him back. We've got a long season. I'm sure Dave's going to have some good laughs in there. Moving on, the other match. I think it was the following match. Actually, it was the very next one. I could be wrong. My memory is spotty at best now. But Southampton traveled to Liverpool, and they lost 2-1 to Liverpool. But I could admit when I'm wrong. I mean, I thought Southampton was going to be in complete shambles, and they impressed the pants off of me. I know they lost 2-1, but the score is not indicative of the play, because Southampton had Liverpool reeling backwards for good chunks of that game, and their one signing that was playing out on the left, Tadic, I think his name is.
Yeah, Dusan Tadic.
Impressed the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I thought great signing. Yeah. What'd you see in that one, Kyle? Anything interesting?
I think this Southampton team is actually this could come off as an overreaction just because it's just one game and they played very good against Liverpool, but I think that we're just kind of over-exaggerating how bad people think that Southampton's going to be this season. They brought in Tadic or Tosic, or that guy's the Serbian.
Yes.
They brought him in. They didn't spend a ton of money on him, and Fraser Forster come in. They brought in Ryan Bertrand on loan. I believe they just signed Shane Long the other day, I believe, also.
Yep.
Yeah, he made it onto the field.
Yeah, and James Ward-Prowse, he's going to be key in the midfield as well.
Prowse had a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. Game. Absolutely. So I think that this...
Actually, they're defensive midfielders. Schneiderlin, and Victor Wanyama. Man, for the first 45 minutes, I got to say, first man of the half, I guess, Wanyama. Dude, he crushed every Liverpool attack. He was all over everything. He was able to I am surprised that he's not getting the attention that Schneiderlin is getting, because he seems to be like the darling that they all want to pull out of that midfield.
Yeah.
Jay, what'd you see from Liverpool? This is not a match to maybe not a match to hang your hat on and say this is what they're going to have all season, or indicative of what we're going to see more, a little bit of struggling?
I think they have a lot of new pieces on that Liverpool team, and they got to figure out how they're going to use it. I think Rodgers is a good coach. I think he's flexible. I think he's going to do whatever he can every game to win. But I think that was an emotional game, and I think the Southampton kind of had a little bit of FU in them regarding who they lost and who they're playing.
Who they lost to who?
Well, yeah, they lost Lambert. They lost.
Lallana,
and they lost
Lovren.
Oh yeah, so they lost their three of the best players to Liverpool, and there was a little bit extra energy to them. They probably want to throw out there, but I don't think it's a fair representation of Southampton. But I think for Liverpool, it's more of a wait and see how good they're going to be.
I also got to say, Mignolet had an outstanding match. He had some great saves in the second half, and I think Sturridge is going to have a good season. I just don't. I think it's going to come in. It's going to be ebbs and flows. I don't think he's going to just be consistently good all year. I think he's going to go through patches like he did in the past. Hopefully, he can, for himself, he can make the highs not too high and the lows not too low, so he's kind of even. But he potentially, or I don't know if it's potentially anymore. It might be official. It's not official on the web yet, but it's official in Italy. He might be having to fight off another nutter. Mario Balotelli seems to be coming to Liverpool, and from what I hear, for a steal, I think £16 million. That's what I read somewhere. £16 million.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing.
That's a gamble that's worth taking every day of the week, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if they can handle Suarez, who's to say that they can't handle Balotelli?
Yeah, Balotelli. I mean, for all the press he gets, I mean, what has he really ever done other than just being a dumb kid? Just on like a low, he's a dumb kid with lots of money who probably has emotional issues with the racism in Europe, especially in Italy. Gets crapped on a lot, gets a lot of abuse. But really, like, is he really that bad of a person? I mean, is he John Terry bad or Suarez bad?
No, this is the thing. No, he's absolutely not
No.
that bad. The problem with Balotelli is he's an egomaniac. I'm generalizing. I don't know if he's actually an egomaniac, but the perception, right? What the image that he creates is that he's an egomaniac, and that whenever he decides that he just wants to take a 90-minute stroll, he's just going to take a 90-minute stroll. Not my problem.
Yep.
That kind of thing. I think, Balotelli, I think, is a monster striker. I think he's an amazing, amazing monster striker. I think that most teams would be clamoring to get their hands on a guy of his talent. I think he's more talented than Luis Suarez. But I think Luis Suarez was a significantly more driven person. Driven to the point of madness, perhaps, but like Luis Suarez gave 110% every single match. Doesn't matter who you're playing, he's gonna give 100%. That's why he dives, he cheats, he bites, because he wants to win so bad. It's like a sickness that he has, right? Then you take a guy like Mario Balotelli, he's like, what do I got to prove to you? I don't got to prove to you. I am the best. And there's a different kind of attitude, and I think how they manage that attitude, or if the attitude even manifests, maybe not. Maybe you get a 12-month grace period, and he's like, I'm here to impress, I'm everybody's buddy, and let's do this. We don't know Liverpool doesn't know what they're going to get. And the other interesting piece that I find, this is the really interesting piece. In the beginning of August, Brendan Rodgers said, absolutely not a chance. I'm not interested in Mario Balotelli. I've been reading from a couple of pieces, a couple of things I've read. Also, I don't know if you guys know from Fox Soccer, Keith Costigan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was tweeting that he's like, I spoke to Rodgers. Rodgers did not want Mario Balotelli. This smells like the board / ownership said, Balotelli's available, we're signing him. You have to take him, deal with it. Now, that could be a double dip effect.
It could be.
That could be a double dip effect. Now you have Mario Balotelli that's a little bit off, and you have a manager that doesn't want him.
Well, I mean, it's not the first manager to ever get a big-name guy who didn't particularly want because they don't think they can coach him. But there are, I mean, I'm just reading it right now, there is a behavior clause in his Liverpool contract that stipulates that if he doesn't fulfill his conduct isn't appropriate, he could lose.
If it's not up to Liverpool standards,
right? Right.
Wait, is that like honest? Like Daily Mail's not reporting that. Someone other than them, right?
No, this is the Guardian. I'm on the Guardian website right now reading it.
Wow.
So they have a conduct clause. I think teams that have been burned put this into all their contracts now.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
I think John Terry is one player's wife away from getting cut.
Well, I mean, think about it though. I mean, think of Balotelli's career the last 3 years. He goes to City during a time where they're just buying players to win a championship. They're like all mercenaries. And even Tevez is there, and Tevez is probably a bad influence on him. And then he goes to Italy, and just the racism in Italy, like, why would you want to play in that situation?
I know.
And now you're coming here, and your most prominent you have one of the most prominent players is a black player on your team. You have a coach who knows how to deal with difficult characters. Maybe there is a hard line for him. No crap, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But at the same time, this is an infinitely better situation for him. Coming in, there's more support around him. They know how to deal with successful, difficult players. He's 24. He's getting married. I don't know. Maybe he might mature. Maybe not. Who cares? That's personal stuff. But maybe there is explanations for this. I want to give him, as a 24-year-old kid with immense talent, a ton of money, who just does stupid kid things, a little bit more leeway than other people.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think there is a huge chance that he is just maturing and that Liverpool is going to benefit from a mature Balotelli. There's a chance. I think that's within the realm of possibility. Let's talk, though. All right, we've been talking a lot about personality, this, that. Let's talk about system and actual football. I'm not sure Balotelli fits into and to that respect, I don't think Ricky Lambert also fits into the Liverpool system. I think that they need mobile, kind of Falcone kind of style strikers, and Sturridge is kind of good, close enough to that. Suarez was exactly that. I'm not sure Balotelli is much more of a. He's a slow mover. He's a Ibrahimovic. He's not necessarily the guy that's gonna run off somebody's shoulder.
Well, he's not going to stretch the field for them, but I think with a talent like him, you kind of figure out how to
make it work.
You make it work, and I think Rodgers been flexible last year. He proved he could be flexible in adapting to other team situations, and there are going to be games where they're going to have to just basically play the way they want to play because they don't have time to prep or they don't have time to prepare because of a short week. But system guys, you can change the system to adapt to the guys if you're smart. But it's not a bad thing to have different strikers because sometimes something doesn't work. Doesn't work. And sometimes you're going to need a guy who's going to open up space for the middle. Sometimes you're going to need a guy who's going to play off the back shoulder. And sometimes you're going to need a guy who's just going to run at defenders. So, the multiple competitions, the different competitions they're going to face, they're not just facing English competition. They're facing the whole world now. They're going to have to be more adaptable and more adjustable. And I think that's what Balotelli and Lambert gives them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it gives them flexibility now with their attack, that just the way they can approach different teams. I mean, they're going to be playing, like Jay said, not just teams from England. They'll be playing teams from Spain, Italy, Germany, and just all these different types of schemes that they'll be going up against.
No, you guys, that's it makes perfect sense. You need that third down back. You need to change your pace to make it as American as possible. No, yes, I agree. You do want to have. You want to add a different arrow to your quiver. You gotta have a couple of different styles, but it seems but okay, yes, Rodgers has adapted. Okay, he has made changes when necessary, but he does have a predominant system and a predominant style, and I do not believe that Mario Balotelli is exactly the striker that fits into his predominant style. That's really okay, and I think we give Rodgers a lot of credit. He gets a lot. I think he gets a lot of the benefit of the doubt. I think we're gonna, and now he's gonna get Balotelli. There's a lot of these big name managers that I've never seen manage not big names, so it makes me feel that okay, they're putting their players in a position to succeed, but could they do it with players that don't have the marquee status? And I know Rodgers came from Swansea. He did play a beautiful style with Swansea. He didn't have marquee names, but the Swansea that he had was a mid-table team. And Liverpool could very well end up back there, but now we'll see what Balotelli does. People throw around this like genius term, this football genius term, and I just feel like there's not that many of them, and we got to stop calling everyone a genius.
Yeah,
there's geniuses, but there's also guys who can adapt to systems and adapt the way they play. And not everyone's going to be Pep Guardiola. For if you want to throw that label on him, I'm perfectly happy to throw him as a genius. But being able to adapt and adjust is a talent. It is a skill. It is listen. There's guys who couldn't. Chris Hughton couldn't, and Norwich got relegated. There's a lot, and some guys never adapt and still a genius. Tony Pulis doesn't adapt, and I can kind of call him a genius for never adapting and still getting his teams, not in mid-table every year.
Never gets relegated.
Right. So genius is a loaded term, but you do have to give a little more credit to guys who overachieve and accomplish more, and willing to be flexible and show that they know how to win games.
I agree. Okay, I would also like to say that if Mario Balotelli fits into the locker room, is not toxic, Liverpool because I had Liverpool struggling to make the top four. I think Liverpool is a top four team if Balotelli comes back to the Balotelli that we've seen in the Premier League. I think they're going to be fighting up there, second, third, maybe, who knows? Maybe they go for the title again. I could revise. I could clearly revise my because it's my opinion and I reserve the right to change it. So, I don't know, you guys. I know, Kyle, you had them, I think, in seventh on your predictive your Premier League preview article that you wrote for us. Does this change anything for you, Balotelli?
No, I had him at fourth, but
Did you have him at fourth?
I did indeed. I had Tottenham in seventh.
Whoops.
Whatever. I had, Tottenham seventh.
Same
Everton.
difference.
Yeah, right. But I think that this. I think it's going to be a 3-horse race between Chelsea, City, and Arsenal. But I feel that this just kind of if Balotelli goes in, he's not a cancer in the locker room or anything like that, and he can adapt to the way that Liverpool plays. I think it solidifies them to be in the top four. They could make a run for the third, second, maybe even first. But I think if as long as Balotelli doesn't go there and become toxic and contagious to everyone else, then I think it solidifies their spot in the top four.
All right. Premier League. You know, we sometimes there's a lot of talk about, you know, they've instituted goal line technology. They've got this magic spray now. They put it on the ground. It disappears after 5 minutes. It's all this advanced technology. But replay keeps coming up. And I guess if they added replay, we wouldn't talk about the things that we're going to talk about now. So I guess it would take away some of the drama. But it would also eliminate, I guess, some of the unfairness that is associated with soccer. So there's two cards in particular that I want to talk about today. Tottenham suffered the double jeopardy. They had I believe it was Naughton. He kind of had his hands up. He blocked a shot. I don't think the intention really was to block the shot. His hands were in an awkward spot. I think he was trying to block his face. I don't know what he was thinking, but the ball was definitely on goal. It was going towards the goal. Referee gave him a red card after some discussion. I'm pretty sure he had in his ear the linesman, you know, probably told him, like, you know, the hands were not at his side. Got the red card and the penalty, double jeopardy. I think when I watch it in full speed, I think that a red card was harsh. And I'm not saying that maybe he wasn't a yellow. It's just the guy was 4 feet away from him, and he blasts the shot. Like, I just think that we have a natural inclination to protect our face. You know, when you look at it, he doesn't look like he's bringing his hand to the ball. I don't know. Jay, did you see that play?
Yeah, I saw the highlights of it. I didn't watch the game, but you know, you see this play all the time. You see it happen a lot, and you know, unless there's going to be a change in the rules to interpret it differently when you're sliding or you know, it's going to happen. But you know, double jeopardy is I thought it was a little harsh. Double jeopardy. I think you give the penalty. If you want to give a yellow, you can, but I think the red card should have been rescinded.
Let me just interject before I give Kyle his chance to opine on this one. You know, can we all admit that the referee needs to have some sort of subjectivity on the actual play? Because, you know, in other instances, for example, when goalies come out and let's say the goalie takes out a player and it was a quote-unquote, you know, I don't like this. If it was a clear goal-scoring opportunity, it must be a red card, because that in itself is subjective. So when a goalie comes out and then the goalie has to be substituted, you know, it's a red card on the goalie and a penalty kick and the goalie has to be substituted. It's like triple jeopardy. But can't a referee shouldn't a referee be able to say, in this circumstance, in this case, I do agree that the rule was broken, but I don't want to just automatically give a red because somewhere along the line it says a clear goal scoring opportunity needs to automatically be a red. Doesn't the context matter? And yeah. Kyle, go ahead, Kyle, opine, but also answer my question.
Okay. So yeah, I think that I think it was harsh to give a red. Like you said, Dan, I think we we have a general inclination to protect our face and our man parts or lady parts for the women's game. It's just natural. Like if we're standing 10 feet or not even like 5 feet away, and I toss something at your face, your general inclination is going to be to throw your hands up. So I think in this situation it was just kind of harsh. I mean, even though the penalty was saved, Tottenham was still down to 10 men, and West Ham did what West Ham does, but
medieval football.
Yes, yeah.
I was going to say ugly soccer, but yeah, that's good. That works.
Well, that's the Mourinho.
Right.
The Mourinho euphemism.
Medieval football, which is we're going to play with one defender and we're just going to all go forward and dribble the ball.
Actually, that's funny because that's actually what classic football would be. Would be an all-on onslaught.
Right. Right. Yeah, I guess Mourinho didn't read the inverted pyramid.
It would be the last minute of a World Cup with the team losing 1-0.
Yeah.
The entire game. Okay. There was another card that I thought was just silly. I mean, not silly. I just don't understand. You know, you have a linesman. You have so many people involved here. Diego Costa has one-on-one with the Burnley keeper. I apologize, I don't remember his name. And he gets the first touch on the ball. The keeper clips him, and Costa is given a yellow card for embellishment. Now, from the referee's point of view, the referee sees Costa's back and the goalie coming at him. He maybe doesn't see if the goalie got the piece on the ball or Diego Costa got the piece on the ball. But what he does see is that Costa leaves his leg in. But guess what? The goalie didn't get the ball, and Costa left his leg in because he's taking advantage of the situation. He didn't throw himself. The contact was coming, and he was just making sure that the contact was going to happen. I think that is just gamesmanship. That's part of the game that's allowed. And then he gets penalized with a yellow for diving. Now, I don't want to see Chelsea get goals or penalty kicks, but I want the game to be fair. So, I mean, I know, Kyle, this is near and dear to your heart. You go ahead. What do you got?
Okay. I mean, I don't want to say I was livid when it happened because I could see the ref's understanding as to why he may have seen at full speed that Costa dove, but like you said, it's not like he threw himself to the ground. He got to the ball well before the keeper actually got. Well, I shouldn't say well before, but there was enough time that Costa he could have reacted. He could have moved out of the way, but just with the touch that he got on the ball, pushing it to the side, it would have been like a weird angle. But that's beside the point. He left his leg in. Contact was made. If you want to call foul on Costa, go ahead, but the yellow card was harsh in my opinion, especially considering that we're going to have a hard enough time keeping Costa out of the books this season. So,
well, I'm going to interject here. You know, there's another option. You don't do anything.
Right? Yeah, or he could. Well, and I think the ball actually eventually.
You can't call it. It looks so close. It looks even. You don't call it.
Right, and I think the ball eventually, just because Costa went to the ground, I think the ball rolled over the goal line, so he could have just called a goal kick. Yeah. And just shook it off, let the play go on, because it was close. It was a close play. I don't think that the time between Costa contacting the ball and him making contact with Costa, with the way the referee saw it from his angle, I don't think there was enough time in between there to make the decision whether or not it was a penalty or whether it should have been a penalty kick or a dive. So I think the best option probably would have been to just let it play on.
Jay, are situations like this, is somebody accumulating these kind of situations and saying, this is my evidence for replay?
Well, I don't know if it's evidence. I don't think there's a possibility for replay in football or in soccer, at least not as we see. I think there's more possibility of another official on the field before we have a replay.
They tried that in Brazil. That shit don't work.
Yeah,
They tried 2 on-field refs. Doesn't work.
Yeah,
but again, corrupt leagues don't ever work.
I just I just don't. Replay just doesn't work for me in soccer. Unless only thing that works for replay wise is doing like giving out red cards and yellow cards after the fact. But with this play, I kind of think to myself when I saw, I thought it was questionable. I don't think he should have been called for the yellow. I wonder how much of a reputation call that was for a guy who is new to the league. For a guy who does have a reputation of being a very aggressive, physical, you might even want to call him dirty. That's fine. I do think he plays dirty sometimes in Costa. I watched a lot of La Liga last year. But I wonder how much this new league is willing to put a reputation on somebody who hasn't earned it in that league yet.
His reputation, maybe that's exactly what it is, Jay. I didn't even think about that point, and I think that actually probably is his reputation is preceding him.
He had to fight like that in United at Atletico. Atletico had to be a fighting, feisty, hard team. I don't think when you're in England and you're playing for one of the big four or big six, whatever you want to say, big. You don't have to play like that. You have to be more technical. You don't have to have that kind of aggression to you. I think he's going to have some hard time because I think there's just a natural inclination to expect the bigger teams to be more technical and not give them the benefit when they're being aggressive.
We'll see. One match in. Let's see what happens going forward, right?
Exactly.
There was another pretty big controversy that popped up this week. Crystal Palace is not always the talk of the town, but they looked like they were going to be signing Malky Mackay. Is that correct? Did I say that right?
Mackay, yeah.
Mackay, okay. And because the sporting director over there, or director of football, or I'm not sure the exact title, was his buddy Moody from their time together at Cardiff. He was a player recruiter when he was at Cardiff, and what it seems like is that from what I gather from the news articles that I've read is that they're both being investigated for some irregularities in transfers. Basically, Vincent Tan is he's like, I'm up to here, and he points to his waistline.
Easy joke, but it works. Listen, when someone throws you a softball, you got to hit out of the park, man. It's okay.
He's like, they spent £50 million on these players, and he's like, I don't think they were worth more than 30. And then now they've grabbed a bunch of documents and they're investigating wiring money and this and that. And it looks like maybe I'm not making any accusations, but maybe these guys were really funneling some money off. They're getting some kickbacks on these transactions. Okay. In the process of discovering this, it's come out that that these two guys have been sending racist and homophobic text messages back and forth, like 100,000 of them or 10,000 of them or something like a ridiculous number of text messages that they read, and a big chunk of them have come out that they were sending off-color, racist, and what I would really call is private, even though they are racist, private messages. Now, it's come out, and they look like they're getting charged with all. Mackay is definitely not going to be the new coach of Palace. He's dropped off the map, and Moody has resigned. So this is like England's Donald Sterling case.
Yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say, I mean, to me, you get private conversations are sometimes you say things you don't mean, and we all have had those moments, sexist, racist, whatever, homophobic. A lot of it just seems like locker room talk, but I think the biggest thing to me when it comes to Mackay is certain text messages regarding players who he was going to sign and using racist derogative terms towards players that him and Moody were going to sign. And I think that's the biggest thing that's the biggest red flag for any team that's going to hire these two guys. It's not the sexist thing they said about about a certain female agent or a homophobic thing if I said about a certain agent. But the fact that they were saying it about their future employees, that's the stuff that's going to lose their credibility, and that's the stuff that's basically going to ruin their careers.
Yeah. I think Soccer Yanks' own Dave's spirit animal, Vincent Tan, he pretty much screwed them. Like I really hope they don't plan on getting hired in the future, because they if the FA takes this extremely as seriously as they should, then I think both of their careers are done, at least in the soccer world. I think my local McDonald's is hiring if they want an application, but I think their careers in this game are done. They exchanged around 70,000 text messages and 100,000 emails, and I'm sorry, but if I ever communicated that much with a girlfriend or anything, I think I would leave, because that's nuts.
Well, I mean, there's always a possibility they could pick up Italian and just go down there.
Right. That's true.
Moody has a degree in Italian. That's where he got his first gig. His first gig was a translator.
Oh, the irony.
Oh, the irony. I mean, I think Jay, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think private messages are private, right? Like, I really do think that's you. Listen, I don't agree with how you think, but how you think in your private world is your business. Okay, I'm not going to police your thoughts or how you interact with other people. But the issue becomes when your beliefs and your thoughts have an implication on your hiring and your pay structure and all these other things that have serious implications on other people's lives. Now we're talking a different thing. This is, I said this was like the Donald Sterling thing. You know, Donald Sterling has a lot of issues, but at the same time, he was paying market value for his players that he did not like.
Right.
So this is such an awful kind of like a topic, because like you kind of get, it's that gray area, because like you have at least as Americans, we have a certain freedom of speech, and with freedom of speech there comes speech that you don't like, right?
Right. The ACLU defend the KKK, but then he also defends the NAACP. Sorry, I can edit out that long part of it. They defend NAACP, and they defend the every other league. They defend GLAD. They defend everybody. But because we have we do have freedom of speech, it is you defend the speech that you hate. But again, like you said, in this case, it's not just speech that you hate. It is you're affecting someone's livelihood.
That's the thing. And I guess maybe we'll never know if it did affect their these guys' livelihoods. But what will probably end up happening, hopefully, is that they will not be able to affect anybody else's.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It was like people that they're personally dealing with, people that people that are players that are transferring in, and people they pass on to work every day, and
exactly. All right, that kind of sums up the Premier League first week. We got a nutshell. This weekend, I'm looking at the schedule. Nothing's really moving me. Oh wait, the end of Saturday, Arsenal at Everton. This could be. It's very early, but pretty important for both teams that, some people are saying, both teams are maybe potentially fringe teams, depending on how their season goes. So when two fringe teams, quote unquote fringe teams play, this can determine, it's week 2, but it might affect their final standings big time. So Everton is not an easy place to go to. Arsenal's been hit with a couple of injuries. I'm obviously if you don't know, I'm a big Arsenal fan. I'm diehard. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried. Although Everton's a little banged up too. Tim Howard just said he's not playing for the U.S. men's national team for 12 months, so that scares me. That means he's all Everton.
Yeah, yeah, he's all in this season with him. Yeah, I think, and then Arsenal, they just had that game against Besiktas, or however you pronounce it there, from the Turkish league on that was Tuesday, correct?
Yes, Tuesday game. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean they had that short recovery from the weekend to play Tuesday, and then a few days off, and then they play on the road at Everton. So it's going to be a challenge. Everton, they had their hands full this past weekend with Leicester, whichever you prefer.
It's Leicester.
With Ted Lasso's side. So I think Arsenal's going to have their hands full this week. And last season, Arsenal and Everton's second match, it was vital to the direction that both clubs went in for the remainder of the season. So I think although it is 2-38, I think that it could be vital, at least for the next couple weeks.
You look like the goalie from Everton. Jay, what do you think here?
I think this game screams 1-1, tentative, kind of. I would even say boring Arsenal game. It's just too early in the season for anybody to really go at it. I think they're kind of both a little hesitant, and I just think this one just kind of is nice on paper, but I think it's in the end I would probably flip to a La Liga game personally.
Well, and especially it's like these big games early on in the season are kind of troubling. Just I don't know what the fitness issues are at any other teams at the moment, but I know with Chelsea, like Oscar, he's not really in form. Ramirez, there was a few that Mourinho named, mainly like the Brazil guys, and Schürrle. They said he wasn't fit, even though he had a brilliant first game. But I think that it's just it
like was against Burnley.
Right. But
it was against Burnley.
No, I understand that. But back on point though, like Jay said, it's early to go at it, especially coming off a World Cup year where like two talented teams like this that had players at the World Cup that are they're trying to get their fitness levels back after having 2 to 3 weeks off and just trying to get in form.
All right, I'll have final say on Arsenal Everton. The Germans come back to Arsenal. Ozil will be available. I don't think he'll play the full match, but he'll probably get a run out. I think we're going to see some changes from Arsenal this week. I think Wenger might try something a little bit different. We need to incorporate, Santi Cazorla has been less than stellar. Jack Wilshere looks lost. He doesn't look comfortable out there. I think we're going to see Thomas Rosicky out there. I think we might see Joel Campbell on the left. Sanchez is definitely going to start. Sonogo's hurt, so you got Giroud up top. And in the back, if Mertesacker's healthy, we're going to see Chambers take a rest. That might actually be an issue because Chambers has been our best player, I think. Chambers has probably been our best player for the last 3 matches that we've had. So, which is shocking. He's a 19-year-old kid from Southampton. But Everton is without Barkley, which Barkley was the big difference maker the last time they played.
Yeah, and he's out like 5 months, right?
I don't know the length, but he's out.
Yeah, I think they said he's out for a while.
So, I watched the Leicester-Everton match last week, and Everton didn't look like they were as sharp as they were last season. So that bodes well, but it is always it's in Goodison Park. It's going to be hard. Jay, I think you got it. I think a 1-1 might be in the bag. 1-1 seems like a reasonable expectation for this match. Moving on for Monday Night Football, but it's actually for us Monday afternoon football. Manchester City, Liverpool. Liverpool travels to their other Manc rivals. That's in City. I think this one is where we're going to really see if Liverpool is going to be the same Liverpool as last season, or if they're going to be a different Liverpool.
I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I think this is going to be a challenge for Liverpool, obviously, and I think if we're going to find out if they have the same type of drive to sort of like last season, they went right at Man City whenever they played the second time. They didn't back down, went right at them. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they go in with the same approach, and also if they get this Balotelli thing figured out. Storyline, return to his former Premier League side.
I doubt he plays that match.
Yeah, I highly doubt it as well, but it would be quite the storyline, though.
Jay, you got any insight on this one? What do you think?
I just think I think City is going to just I think City needs to prove that they're capable of winning back-to-back and threatening back-to-back years. I think there's a lot of talk about what they did last time they won a championship and how they didn't back it up. I think there's a little more I guess media around this year, and I think they come out with a little more fire. I think Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool kind of just backs a little bit and just tries to survive just till they get Balotelli in that lineup and when they can do some damage.
That's if you draw you draw the away matches against your rivals, you win the home match, you win all your home matches. That's the formula, and you win away against the the lower half of the table, and that's the formula for winning the league. So if Liverpool pulls a draw, that's good enough in my book.
Yeah, especially them playing on the road at the Etihad. I think a draw would be considered a success.
That might be the best. If they get a draw, that might be the best 1 point of the season. This early in the season.
Right, exactly. This early in the season against a rival, that's a point. You take it. Okay. On that note, Week 1 is in the books. Week 2 is upon us. By the time you're listening to this, probably within 24 hours. If you listen to this after the fact and you try to determine if we're idiots based on what we said, that's not good. Don't do that. Anyway, SoccerYanks.com for everything about Soccer Yanks. If you have a comment, you want some feedback, you want us to talk about something specifically that we're not mentioning at all, is your club being slighted? Are we not talking about your club? Send me an email, socceryanks@gmail.com. I read every piece of email that comes in, don't worry. And I'll respond personally. Me, Dan. I will respond. Kyle, where can people find you?
You can find me at socceryanks.com. You can find me at KBJelly on Twitter. And if you're curious about the rumblings of soccer, tennis, golf, baseball, football, anything like that, I just recently got hired by my local paper at the Cumberland Times News. So you can look for that if you're interested in high school sports and the little tykes around here.
That's what is that? West Virginia, Maryland?
That'd be Western Maryland, Eastern West Virginia, and perhaps a little bit of like southern, southwestern Pennsylvania.
All right. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Jay, where can everyone find your stuff?
Well, I'm still going to do Soccer Yanks, and of course, I just in the beginning my own personal corner at grabbing stuff from all over the place is going to be at rescindedredblog.com, and I'm at rescindedred on Twitter. Excellent.
I'm at SoccerYankDan. We've got great content at SoccerYanks.com. We also have another great podcast, Homegrown, that's executive produced by Jay here. It's all about U.S. soccer, U.S. domestic soccer. It's great. I enjoyed it a lot. And maybe if that's your bag, baby. If it's not your bag, just keep listening to me. Here. Stay tuned. Next week. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week.